Welcome to Charts Today Energy. My name is David Linton, and today's edition for Monday, the 17th of December, comes to you from London. And we're seeing the energy mix mostly up this morning, so that's looking strong. Crude oil actually has been seesawing a little bit here, as we see on the chart. Just taking a quick look at the macro, we see the dollar index is down slightly, but still bullish and looking more and more bullish long term. Euro is up this morning, but against the dollar, but looking weak, still bearish short term and medium term. And we're seeing against the Japanese yen, the dollar just flat at the moment. That's normally where I get a heads up as to the next move in the dollar. Sterling is up against the dollar, but still bearish on all three time frames with multiple downside targets. Against the euro, we are lower this morning, and against the Swissy, we're also a little bit lower. But sterling still looks pretty bad, medium and short term. US stock markets fell quite heavily on Friday, so that's had an impact on sentiment, closing at new multi-month lows, levels not seen since earlier this year. And taking a look at gold is bearish below the clouds, so we're just seeing that coming off a little bit. And 10-year bond yields still weak at 2.8%. So talk of the Federal Reserve raising rates is all but gone, really. Looking at Brent crude, we see we're finding long-term support on the cloud. We are heading into the time of year where the seasonality in the next quarter should be strong, and that should lift crude prices. So maybe we will see a rise off that, but we are still bearish on that medium-term chart by some way, and short-term we're still below the cloud. We've got targets in either direction. Looking at the 60-minute chart for Brent crude, we've got a downside target and an upside target. Neither of them activated. 5% downside, 10% upside, but neither of these charts activated. A move below $60 would activate the downside target, and a move above 61.75 would activate the upside target. So we have to wait for the break. Looking on the shorter term 1 minute chart, we see we again have got up and downside targets. These ones both activated. 2% upside, 2% downside, 5% upside. But we're probably just favouring that downside. And of course, if we go through that, this one's to 58.90. If we go to that, we activate that bigger downside target on the 60-minute chart. Looking at WTI, much the same picture as you'd expect. We have got a downside target here, 6% lower, but not yet activated either. Downside target here on the 1 minute chart is activated. So, and we've got a bit of a downtrend. So it does look like we're going to come under pressure. US Natgas really falling back quite heavily, down back to 365, and so we are seeing some quite big moves back. That's unwound that triangle. Remember, we were saying we needed to wait for the break. Well, the break is now clearly down, so we're coming back out of that pattern. Heating oil is up very slightly, but similar looking to crude. RBOB also targets in either direction, but still bearish on the long and short term. Really bearish in all three time frames. So RBOB still looking pretty weak. Coal is up a further third of a percent this morning, just climbing that hill. We had targets which we talked about last week. We've got 92.94 on the 60-minute chart. That's the target that we're going for on coal at the moment. Looking at the 1 minute chart, we've hit that 89.70 target. That was the target that was given and met. No further targets on this chart. We need to wait for another sell-off and then a buying thrust to give us a new upside target. So. But at the moment, it's looking pretty bullish on the shorter term charts. Haven't had that cross on the moving averages yet, so it's not completely turned around coal, but it is looking relatively good. It's just the shortage of targets now that makes it quite a hard call. Remembering this data is coming off Thomson Reuters Icon. If you're running on your Trayport screen, you will have better data, and so you might well have some targets that we can't see here. Richards Bray is also obviously a lot less liquid, but we're seeing targets there to 98, back to nudging $100, basically $99. Looking at emissions, we see Then as we close to the close of the year, looking quite strong here. 24.55, 24.03. Those are the 1 minute targets that we're pushing towards. We do have a downside target which has just been activated. Um, so we may see a pullback in the emissions price. Just keep an eye on those targets. We've got the 60-minute targets here as well. NBP, looking at gas, we've got NBP up 0.6% to up 2/3% this morning. Some real good clarity now on these targets, and we've got 70.50, 70.70, 70.90, 70.60. That's really pointing to prices for NBP hitting that area, so that's pretty clear. And TTF, not as clear on the targets, but we do have two targets, 25.70 and 25.83, so 3 and 4% higher respectively. So gas market's looking pretty good at the moment in Europe. And looking at NCG, again, less clear here and less clarity on the targets. And Italian gas even less so. The liquidity obviously been an issue there. German power is up just under 1% this morning. We're seeing we see Thursday here and Friday. We've got upside targets. We've got a new upside target, 59, activated this morning. So that's a further 5% higher. So that's looking pretty good. And we're certainly seeing that looking more and more bullish there. And if we look at Nordic power, we're looking quite good here. Target of 50 euros 40. Dutch power, we've got a price here at 60 euros 90. The target's less clear here, and Italian power is up as well, but again, liquidity is a slight issue. We've got a target of 75, 80, 76, 48. That's it for today. Until tomorrow, happy charting. See you then.